Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. The Washington Commanders have made another move in what has already been a season defined by roster shuffling, injury setbacks, and a relentless search for depth in key positions. This week, the team officially announced the signing of veteran cornerback Antonio Hamilton Sr., a player who has carved out a reputation as a survivor in the unforgiving world of the NFL. For fans who may have missed his journey, Hamilton's story is one that blends perseverance, resilience, and a constant willingness to embrace whatever role a team asks of him. For the Commanders, his arrival might not make the same splash as a blockbuster trade or a high-profile draft pick, but it carries a level of importance that only seasoned observers of the sport truly understand. In a league where attrition often dictates success or failure, adding a reliable veteran presence can make the difference between a season unraveling and a season staying afloat. Hamilton's signing comes at a time when the Commanders desperately needed reinforcements. The secondary has been tested early and often this season, with injuries forcing the coaching staff to dig deeper into its bench than expected. Just this past week, second-year defensive end Javonte Jean-Baptiste was placed on injured reserve after tearing his pectoral muscle during the team's week 4 clash against the Atlanta Falcons. That injury, coming so early in the season, not only leaves a hole in the defensive line rotation, but also reminds everyone of how fragile depth can be in the NFL. Washington's front office wasted no time in responding, making Hamilton's addition official and ensuring he would be eligible to suit up in Week 5 against the Los Angeles Chargers. The timing underscores the urgency of the situation, with the Commanders hoping that Hamilton can bring stability to a unit that has already faced its fair share of adversity. Antonio Hamilton Sr.'s journey to this point is the kind of story that resonates with players, coaches, and fans alike. Undrafted out of college in 2016, Hamilton entered the NFL with no guarantees, no draft day spotlight, and no assurance of how long his professional career might last. Yet here he stands nearly a decade later, preparing to begin his 10th season in the league. That kind of longevity is rare for any player, but for an undrafted cornerback who has had to fight for roster spots year after year, it speaks volumes about his character, his work ethic, and his ability to adapt to whatever circumstances come his way. When you talk to teammates and coaches about Hamilton, they don't describe him as a superstar or a shutdown corner. Instead, they talk about reliability, discipline, and professionalism. Those qualities are exactly what Washington hopes will bolster both their defensive depth and their special teams unit as the season progresses. Hamilton's career has taken him across the NFL landscape, making him a familiar face to fans of several franchises. He began with the Oakland Raiders, where he spent his first 2 seasons establishing himself as a player capable of contributing in both the secondary and on special teams. After that, he moved on to the New York Giants, where he continued to hone his skills while carving out a role as a dependable depth piece. A brief stop with the Kansas City Chiefs in 2020 gave him a taste of what it's like to play for a perennial contender, and though his time there was short, it added to the wealth of experience he now brings to Washington. In 2021, he joined the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who were fresh off a Super Bowl victory. Though his stint there didn't last long, he quickly found a home with the Arizona Cardinals, playing multiple seasons in the desert before joining the Falcons for 11 games last year. Each stop along the way has been part of the larger puzzle that has defined Hamilton's NFL life: adaptability, resilience, and the ability to keep finding opportunities even when the odds suggest otherwise. It's worth noting that Hamilton already has some history with the Commanders. Back in August, he spent time with Washington on the practice squad during training camp and preseason. Although he didn't make the final roster cut, his familiarity with the team's system and staff likely made him an attractive option when the need for reinforcements arose. Unlike bringing in an outsider who would need weeks to acclimate, the Commanders know exactly what they're getting in Hamilton, and Hamilton knows exactly what is expected of him. That kind of familiarity may seem minor to casual fans, but to a coaching staff trying to stabilize a roster mid-season, it can be a crucial factor in deciding who gets the call when injuries pile up. Of course, the big question that always follows a signing like this is simple: what role will Hamilton actually play? Washington's cornerback room is not without talent. The likes of Marshawn Lattimore, Mike Sainristil, Noah Igbinoghene, and rookie Trey Amos are all expected to handle the bulk of snaps and coverage. That leaves Hamilton as more of a complementary piece, with his primary contributions expected to come on special teams. And for those who might roll their eyes at the mention of special teams, let's be clear, it is one of the most critical and often overlooked phases of the game. Last season with the Falcons, Hamilton spent much of his time on special teams, and coaches praised his consistency and willingness to embrace that responsibility. In Washington, he is expected to reprise that role, giving the Commanders a reliable veteran presence in kick and punt coverage, areas that often swing games in subtle but meaningful ways. The reality of the NFL is that seasons are rarely decided solely by the stars. Yes, quarterbacks, top receivers, and Pro Bowl defenders get most of the headlines, but depth players like Antonio Hamilton often decide how long a team can withstand the grind of a 17-game schedule. When a key starter goes down, when a young rookie hits the proverbial wall, or when the game comes down to a single special teams play, veterans like Hamilton can prove their worth. For Washington, signing him is not about expecting him to become a lockdown corner or to suddenly emerge as a defensive centerpiece. It's about insurance, stability, and the reassurance that comes with knowing you have a player who won't be rattled by the moment. Coaches love players who can be trusted to do their job with minimal fuss, and that's exactly the reputation Hamilton brings to the table. For the fans, it may not be the type of signing that gets pulses racing. After all, Hamilton is not a household name, and he isn't walking into the locker room with a Pro Bowl resume or a Super Bowl ring. But when you step back and look at the bigger picture, his addition makes sense. The Commanders are battling through injuries. They're fighting to stay competitive in a division where every win matters, and they need to make sure that their roster doesn't get exposed in areas where depth is thin. In that context, Hamilton's signing isn't just a footnote. It's a necessary step in navigating the long and unpredictable road of an NFL season. Looking ahead to Week 5 against the Chargers, fans will likely see Hamilton's impact first on special teams. But as the season unfolds, his presence in the secondary could become more significant, especially if injuries continue to test the Commanders' depth. For Hamilton himself, this opportunity represents yet another chapter in a career that refuses to fade away. Each time it has seemed like his NFL journey might be coming to a close, he has found a way to stick around, to contribute, and to prove that he still belongs. That kind of persistence not only earns the respect of teammates, but also inspires younger players who are just beginning their own careers. For Washington, having a veteran like that in the locker room is as valuable as anything he'll do on the field. Ultimately, the signing of Antonio Hamilton Sr. highlights a broader truth about the NFL. It is a league built on survival, on finding ways to adapt and endure. The stars will always shine the brightest, but it's the grinders, the journeymen, and the role players who give teams the foundation they need to weather the storm. For the Commanders, Hamilton may never be the headline act, but he represents something just as important, the kind of steady presence that helps keep a team's season on track when chaos looms. And if Washington is able to stay in the playoff hunt deep into the year, don't be surprised if fans look back at this quiet signing as one of those small but vital moves that helped make it possible. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. The NFL world is absolutely buzzing right now, and with good reason. One of the biggest stories of this offseason just dropped like a bombshell, and it's official. The Washington Commanders have pulled off a stunning move that nobody saw coming. Tyreek Hill, the cheetah himself, is heading to the nation's capital. That's right, Tyreek Hill, the speed demon, the game breaker, the human highlight reel, is now officially a Washington Commander. And perhaps even more important than where he's going is who he'll be lining up with. Rookie quarterback Jayden Daniels just got the kind of weapon that makes you sit up in your seat and say, okay, this team might be cooking something serious. The moment this deal hit social media, fans were in disbelief. People were refreshing their feeds thinking, no way this is real. But it's not a rumor anymore. It's done. It's signed. It's sealed. It's happening. Tyreek Hill is leaving South Beach and taking his talents to Washington. And let's be honest, the implications of this move are massive. You're talking about a wide receiver who's not just fast, he's terrifyingly fast. A player who forces defensive coordinators to change their entire game plan the moment he steps on the field. And now, he's paired with one of the most intriguing young quarterbacks to enter the league in recent years. Jayden Daniels came into the league with all eyes on him. The Heisman winner, the electric playmaker out of LSU. People knew he had the legs. They knew he could extend plays. They knew he had the deep ball touch. But what he didn't have, at least until now, was a true, top-tier, all-pro caliber target. That's changed in a major way. Hill isn't just a good receiver. He's the receiver you game plan around. He's a threat to score every time he touches the ball, whether it's a bubble screen or a deep post. And now he's paired with a quarterback who thrives on improvisation, on movement, on keeping defenses guessing. It's almost scary to think about what this duo could do together. And here's where things get even more interesting. This move signals a massive shift in the Commanders' philosophy. This isn't a team looking to rebuild slowly anymore. This isn't about patience and development over years. This is a win-now move. They want to compete. They want to be taken seriously. Bringing in Tyreek Hill isn't just about numbers. It's a statement. It tells the locker room, the fan base, and the entire league, we're not playing around. We're here to make noise. And if you're in the NFC East right now, especially if you're Dallas or Philly, you better start paying attention. You can already imagine the fireworks. Jayden Daniels drops back. The pocket collapses slightly. He scrambles left, eyes downfield. And boom, Tyreek is already 20 yards ahead of his defender. That's what Hill does. He doesn't just get open. He creates separation in ways that almost seem unfair. Even with two defenders trailing him, it doesn't matter. His acceleration is otherworldly. And for a young quarterback, having a guy like that is a blessing. When the play breaks down, Hill becomes a get-out-of-jail-free card. Throw it up, let the speed take care of the rest. Of course, there are going to be questions. How did this deal even come together? What did Washington give up to land a player of Hill's caliber? And how do the Dolphins feel about letting go of their most dangerous offensive weapon? But in the moment, right now, the focus is on what this could mean for the Commanders. You look at their offense now, and it starts to make sense. Brian Robinson in the backfield, Jahan Dotson in the slot, and now Tyreek lining up wide with a rocket-armed quarterback ready to let it fly. That's a scary thought for defenses. This unit just got exponentially more dangerous overnight. Let's not forget that Tyreek Hill isn't slowing down. He's still in his prime. He's still clocking in as one of the fastest players in the league. And his production backs it up. Year after year, he's putting up elite numbers, making defenders miss, stretching the field, and scoring touchdowns from impossible angles. He's not a product of a system. He is the system. And now, it's Washington's turn to reap those benefits. For Jayden Daniels, it's the ultimate confidence boost. He knows the front office believes in him enough to invest in a player of Hill's caliber. That's got to mean something in the locker room. And the vibe around this Commanders team? It's about to shift. Completely. New quarterback, new coaching regime, and now a superstar wideout to headline the offense. This team isn't just rebuilding. They're rebranding. They're setting a tone. The culture in Washington has been stagnant for too long. But this move brings juice, swagger, and energy. It tells every player on that roster that this is no longer a franchise stuck in the past. It's a franchise moving forward, aggressively, with purpose. There's a chemistry element that's going to be worth watching, too. Can Jayden and Tyreek get on the same page quickly? Will the timing be there? Training camp and the preseason are going to be must-see for Commanders fans. But even if it takes a few weeks, the ceiling here is undeniable. It's sky-high. Daniels has the arm talent and the mobility to keep plays alive. Hill thrives on chaos, on broken plays, on moments where defenders lose track for just a split second. That's all he needs to flip the field. That's all he needs to score. Some insiders are already whispering that this move could be the spark that elevates Washington from a team with potential to a legitimate playoff contender. It might sound like a hot take right now, but is it really? You look around the NFC, and things are wide open. The Eagles are strong, but vulnerable. Dallas is always in the mix, but always finds a way to come up short. And the Giants? Still figuring things out. There's a lane for the Commanders to make some real noise. Especially if Jayden Daniels clicks early. Especially if Hill brings his usual magic. And let's not forget what this does for the fan base. Washington supporters have been desperate for something to believe in, something real. And this is real. This is excitement. This is hope. FedEx Field is going to feel different. The jerseys, the highlight reels, the primetime games, it's all coming. You can almost hear the Jayden Tyreek calls being rehearsed by commentators right now. The NFL is a league of stars, and now, Washington has two of them, locked and loaded. What's next for this team is anyone's guess. But one thing's for sure, the Commanders just became must-watch football. Tyreek Hill in a new uniform, with a young, fearless QB throwing him the ball. That's the kind of story that makes you mark your calendar. That's the kind of move that can change everything. The ripple effect of this trade will be felt across the league. Teams will have to adjust their scouting reports, rework their defensive schemes, and account for a whole new kind of threat coming out of Washington. So buckle up, folks. Because if Jayden Daniels was already an intriguing prospect, now he's got the league's most electric wide receiver at his side. The Commanders just added rocket fuel to their offense, and the NFL might not be ready for what's coming. Tyreek Hill is a commander. Jayden Daniels has his weapon. And the rest of the league? They better start watching film. This thing's about to get real. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.